The film begins in the early 19th century in the village of Holoblen, during a very mysterious period. Every year, the villagers gather on the last night of October around a big fire, getting rid of everything impure. Once, people were bringing rotten fruit and agricultural pests, until two men dragged a young mother with her baby, as she cried and pleaded for her son to be spared despite his physical deformities, since he was just born and had done nothing wrong. The judge, ignoring her pleas, ordered the sentence on the accused immediately. After witnessing her son's horrifying fate, the mother revealed herself as the witch of Holoblen and cursed them all, saying the curse would repeat every year on this exact day. The judge was the first to run away, holding his pipe, followed by everyone else doing the same. As the witch chanted the spell, something began to grow from her son's bones until it took the form of a demon. Then the demon emerged from the fire and donned a black robe to hunt its victims, starting with the judge himself. Then we leap forward more than a century and a half to meet Neil Perkins' family. Ashley is his teenage daughter. Her mother died a few years ago. Kate is his second wife, and the little boy is Nathan. The family travels to Holoblen to spend some days in the village. Ashley invites her friend Kami for the trip, prompted by a business opportunity. Neil is eager to seize this chance for wealth. Upon arrival, they stop at a small restaurant. Ashley and Kami laugh at B, the restaurant owner. Neil scolds them for their behavior before asking B's husband, Sheriff Millie Green, for directions to a rented house on Willow Street. B observes Nathan, who feels uneasy while seated in his mother's lap, as they interact. The sheriff remarked on the age difference between the sisters. Neil, always cheerful, commented that a new family offers another chance for happiness, hinting she's his second wife. Ashley saw an elderly man, Charlie, enter the restaurant. He grew anxious at the sight of them and urged them to leave, mentioning ghosts and curses, mistaking it for Halloween. The sheriff was responsible for warning this family about impending danger. Millie Green politely asked Charlie to leave and apologized to others for his drunken rambles. Unnoticed, she took the baby's bonnet from her lap in the car. Ashley and her friend mocked Charlie's odd predictions. Until suddenly he appeared at the window and started repeating these warnings in a more aggressive way. After he scared them, the girls began to laugh and compare the situation to what happens in horror films. Neil leaned on the car following Millie Green's instructions to the house where they were going to spend the next few days. From the outside, the house was nice, but inside it was not comfortable at all because the thermostat was broken and the lights were not working. Neil said that all of this was easy to fix, and when she complained that there was no phone signal, he responded that it was better so they could enjoy the peace. The girls started arranging their things in the room, and Ashley thanked her friend for coming with her. Because this trip would have been very difficult without her, especially without a mobile. They stopped talking when they saw a visitor coming, and Ashley screamed in fright when she saw Owen. Even Neil didn't have much patience for his arrogant friend, but he received him gratefully because they're partners in the village upgrade project. Ashley didn't know anything about this and started to object when Owen left. She reminded Neil of the promise he made to his late wife not to deal with him again. The two quarreled, and Ashley was deeply hurt by his disrespect for her mother's memory. In her gentle tone, Kami spoke with Ashley and told her that she also promised her mother she'd look after Neil. Over time, her mood began to improve, and the friends decided to head back home as they noticed darkness was falling. Then B was adjusting something for Nathan and crying over her son who was lost because of the Holoblen curse. For over a century and a half, this supernatural phenomenon has been happening every year at the circular slaughterhouse in the middle of the village, always on the morning of the 31st of October. Something like a black cloak appears in the air to execute the curse. Nearby, a man named Derek was driving with his wife and their baby in the back seat, when suddenly this cloak hit the front windshield and almost caused an accident. Derek got out to see what had happened. He glimpsed a black cloth under the wheel, which vanished as he neared, only to be pulled beneath the car. His wife, tending to the baby, felt a tremor and opened the door, only to face a ghost. Meanwhile, at Willow's, someone was stalking Ashley with a knife. As he got closer, she woke, then laughed, realizing it was Kami's Halloween prank. At breakfast, friction between Kate and Ashley grew annoying. With nothing else to do, the girls biked to shop for the baby. On the way, they saw Officer Millet Green investigating Derek's family incident. Deputy Sheriff Perry was witnessing his first village Halloween when he saw the baby chair. Millet Green halted the discussion about rumors, saying villagers were tormented by them and didn't need a fanatical officer. Perry, surprised by the admonishment, dropped the subject. They reached the closed store on Halloween, and an elderly twin refused to open it, asking the girls to return the next day. Ashley tried to explain they needed supplies for their baby brother, which scared the twins further, prompting them to urge Ashley to leave the village immediately. The girls were still curious about this strange interaction, until two guys in a car, one of whom Ashley knew, named Kyle, and Kami nudged her friend to tell her she'd heard a lot about him, introduced them to his friend Mike, who was staying in the nearby town for a few days. The guys started talking about the crazy rumors in the area and said that Jane, my sister, found out all the details. Meanwhile, Charlie was at the restaurant putting some whiskey in his coffee and told me he found a way to break the Hollow Bluff curse, but she yelled at him for that and his hesitation. When Neil, Mikey, and Kami arrived to ride their bikes, Neil was upset with his daughter for being late because his meeting was about to start, and she was supposed to watch her brother. When he saw she had found friends, he said he didn't want those kids in the house in his absence. After the couple left for the meeting, the girls prepared for a boring sit-in until they started hearing a series of strange noises. Scared, they approached the door on tiptoe, and when they opened it, a figure wearing a cloak appeared. Kami immediately hit the stranger with the fireplace poker mercilessly until she realized he was dead. Coming out of his hiding spot, Kyle said they'd gone to get a genie and took the opportunity to buy diapers for the baby. To win Neil's favor, Kami paid a lot of attention to Met and suggested they leave the baby alone so they could both go with them and monitor the baby's sleep via a baby monitor. Ashley rejected this bizarre idea, but allowed the visitors to stay, even if it was just in the yard. Meanwhile, Kate and Neil met Owen at the restaurant, who immediately warned them that the restaurant was closed like all the other places in Hallowblin. He said the rumors spreading in town ruined investment in the area. Owen explained the Halloween curse to the couple, while simultaneously, Jim was telling his new friends about the goblin legend. Everyone was laughing at first, but when it came to the part about the baby, as local beliefs cast a shadow, fear enveloped the night. Every child was perceived as vulnerable, threatened until dawn on November 1st. Amidst this tension, Ashley, detecting noises from the baby monitor and flickering screens, hurried upstairs, relieved to find her brother safe. Kyle seized this moment to enter her room once the fear subsided. However, Kami proposed they accompany Matt and his sister, Solix, who felt abandoned outside. At a nearby eatery, Neil was taken aback to see Millie Green, unaware that the warden belonged to the town council. He explained that the country is small and everyone must take on many roles, dismissing Owen's hints about professional conduct. Neil continued to question the strange beliefs. Millie Green said there was no curse or anything. It was just a kind of old superstition. At the same time, Kami and Mitt were looking for wood to make a Halloween fire, but it turned out they would warm themselves in another way. A faint visitor's voice cut their romance short, and a foul smell filled the place when they saw someone in a black robe. Mitt thought it was Kyle playing a prank and didn't realize he was wrong until he got closer. When Kami saw the attack, she ran off screaming. Ashley heard her from inside the house, but their friends reassured her it was just a prank. Jane was sure of it too, and came out of the house screaming as if they were racing in fear. Kami got lost in the forest while trying to escape from the demon. The officer told Neil that his suggestions were rejected, and Neil was surprised because he thought that Millie Green himself suggested inviting Naley this time, because the expectations were positive. He explained that he genuinely liked the projects but couldn't recommend anyone else because his family strongly opposed change. Jane was away from home and was convinced it was all a game until a hand grabbed her leg. When she saw it was Kami, she was shocked at her condition and realized she wasn't pretending. Then her brother appeared very tired with a demon chasing him. They tried to escape the vicious predator, and the girls got separated. The demon chose Ginny first, and Kami watched a terrifying new scene at the restaurant door. Neil and Owen started arguing after the sheriff left. Kate thought the sheriff was hiding something, but agreed with her husband when he said the refusal was final. Owen thought it was just a negotiation tactic and insisted that Neil up the offer, but Neil was tired of his friend's antics. It was 2 p.m. when Ashley kicked Kyle out of the house, fearing her father would catch her. She asked him to look for Kami because she was worried about the delay. Her friend was nearby, still running from the demon until she tripped over a kind of grave and fell into the circular slaughterhouse. Under the influence of the fire vision, she began to feel the flames on her skin. Her screams reached Ashley, and this time, they were truly terrifying. To the point that Kyle started to take the situation seriously. Ashley ran to help her friend, but Kyle offered to go instead, and she went back to take care of the baby. When she returned home, she found one of Nathan's toys in front of the door. She ran to the room and was shocked to see his crib empty. The house was filled with police officers in less than half an hour. Kyle was devastated and started to suspect the teenagers, especially since 3 of them were also missing. Kyle was taken to the station, and Ashley began to talk about the ghost, which disturbed the parents even more. After the police left, someone knocked on the door. Charlie was watching from behind the trees when Neil took the gift, a file about the disappearance of the babies in Hollowglen. They all disappeared on October 31st. Kate cried when she found out that none of them were found again after she saw the news about the warden's son Neil. She found it very strange that Millie Green didn't talk about it, and then she decided to look for Cammy and asked them both to close everything. Perry was taking Kyle to the station, and they passed a specter standing in the road as if it wanted a ride. But it was Kyle who saw what was under the cloak before the monster disappeared into the air, and then the boy seized the opportunity to escape. Perry thought the kidnapper was trying to play the role of the legendary goblin and decided to search for this strange character wearing a hood. Meanwhile, the foul smell reached Willow's house. Kate saw the goblin standing in the garden, broke the window, entered the house, roared, and frightened. She escaped through the 2nd floor window. She fell in front of the house, and when she recovered from the fall, she saw Kate lying in the middle of the living room, and the goblin was sitting on the ceiling. To make matters worse, she discovered that the goblin had the ability to disappear and reappear wherever it wanted. But her hope was renewed when she saw Kyle's Jeep coming. She rushed to the car quickly, but the goblin appeared directly in front of the car. When a terrified Kyle tried to back up, they both discovered that Owen had arrived, and his car blocked them off. Ashley began to scream at him, urging him to move his car quickly, but Owen responded with his usual arrogance and refused. When the goblin appeared behind him, the youngsters started running, and he thought they were just playing a prank. He laughed at their sore point. They both tried to warn him from afar, but by the time he turned, it was too late. The 2 of them then fled into the forest on foot and didn't hesitate when Charlie appeared and offered them a ride. He took them to his nice hideout and explained that the goblin doesn't attack adults without reason, but targets them because it's unable to capture Nathan. The goblin continued to chase them when it smelled peep with them. Charlie revealed that the Witch of Hollowglen, and that was passed down from generation to generation until it reached Charlie, and the poor man lives from glass to glass. Because he hadn't met anyone willing to help him with his fate. But Ashley told him that Nathan disappeared, so she accepted the challenge to help him find Nathan. When she left the cabin, that distinctive smell revealed the presence of the goblin. Charlie wanted to lure it with Nathan's scent on Ashley's clothes, but Kyle didn't like the idea of her being the bait. They had no time to debate, because that flying robe landed right in front of the goblin. Charlie tried to weaken it with shotguns and told the 2 to escape in his car when he saw the tank full. Kyle thought they should go to the neighboring town so the goblin wouldn't be able to reach them, but Ashley was upset about the idea of leaving her brother. Then she remembered something Charlie had mentioned as a starting point for their search. When they arrived at the restaurant, Ashley broke the door with a brick while calling her dad, leaving him a message. Kyle was cautiously exploring the area until he encountered the owner, who confessed Nathan was with her. But she quickly explained she did it to protect him, because tourists never believe what's happening there is real. She showed them a nursery inside her house, and they both rushed to the baby's crib. But Ashley only found a sleeping doll and realized they had fallen into a trap. The nursery on the restaurant's other side was shut down. Neil and Kate arrived in distress. The officer mentioned B's nursing skills, but they were futile. Devastated by losing his second wife, Neil grew suspicious of the other 2. He took the officer's gun, demanding the truth. Millie Green noticed Barry's arrival and stalled for time. Her efforts paid off, and Neil lowered his weapon. Millie then handcuffed Neil, warning Barry about their deceitful nature. She leveraged her wild theory, with the officer backing Barry, accusing Neil of obsessing over the child-snatching ghost. Suddenly, they all heard a baby's cry. Coming from inside the house, Neil figured out that his colleague Perry understood the truth, and both of them drew their weapons at each other at the same time. Unfortunately, Perry got wounded, leaving Neil as the 3rd prisoner. The warden and B started justifying their crimes. Neil said any father would have done the same. B told him that at least he has another daughter. In a moment of mercy, Neil tossed the handcuff key inside before closing the door tightly. When Neil freed himself, Ashley told him everything about the demon. Then suddenly, the door opened, and Charlie appeared. The group was happy he managed to escape. But what he had to say was very disturbing. Bee didn't kidnap Nathan for herself, but took him to negotiate with the spirit, and traded Nathan in the place of her son, who the spirit had kidnapped long ago. Then Charlie finally explained what's happening with the stolen babies. The spirit keeps them all in the spiritual world to feed on their innocent souls and remains alive. When the group reached the lake, Nathan was in Bee's arms. The sheriff lit a big fire, and both called upon the spirit, who soon appeared in the fog. The spirit agreed to Bee's request and let her see her son again, now grown up. When she tried to touch it, her hand went through. Seeing it was a trick, the sheriff called his wife to leave. Just then, Charlie and friends launched their attack. Ashley grabbed her brother, and Neil struck the demon. It staggered, oblivious to Charlie, with a spear. He failed to pierce the skin. Before continuing, the cloak vanished, showing the demon's true form. The creature seized the sheriff and his wife, killing them. Neil and Ashley escaped. They were close to the car when Kyle asked them to stop. He had the spear with him and said it wasn't right for them to leave their victims like that, especially since this was their last chance to break the curse. Neil eventually agreed, and they set a trap in the hall for the enemy to follow Nathan. After a while, the monster hit the side window and entered from the exact side they anticipated. Neil got the child out of the room but couldn't save Kyle, who stood before the demon, striking it with all his fury and killing it. Ashley quickly took Nathan from the car, and when her father was under attack, the spear landed on the car's hood, drawing the demon towards it with the baby's scream. The demon abandoned its attack on Neil when it appeared in front of the car. Ashley pressed the gas, and the spear, after a century since its creation, finally fulfilled its duty and pinned the monster to a tree before causing its complete destruction. All that remained of the terrifying demon were some bones. A few days later, Ashley and her father buried everything in the circular slaughterhouse and used the broken spear as a marker for the notorious demon's grave. This is the end of the movie, and we'll meet in a new summary.